Morning, this is Ruth Medd, the Executive Chair of Women on Boards, and this is my vacancy review for the week of the 9th of June. And as is typical, I pick a couple of topics to talk about. Today, I'm going to look at agri boards, and then I'm going to look at some other interesting boards. Agricultural Research and Development Corporations, there's about 14 of them in Australia. And they all recruited about this time of the year because they have their AGMs toward the end of the year. So there's quite a number on the jobs board at the present moment. Typically, they want people who can add value to the governance of these organisations that are funded jointly by the government and by levies on the people in the particular agricultural sector. So, for example, the Sugar Research and Development Corporation is funded by the government and then sugar growers who are typically in New South Wales, North New South Wales and Queensland. Also, it's very useful to know something about the industry. It's a bit difficult for people to appoint directors to, for example, the Sugar Research and Development Corporation who know absolutely nothing about sugar, never been to far north Queensland to look at a sugar plantation, etc. But you never know. So they're all paid, they're well organised. Typically they have a headhunter search firm who does the recruitment, not always, but usually. And Rimfire Resources in Brisbane do quite a number of them. So Sharon Maloney and Mick Hay are a couple of the headhunters there, and they've both been on our Meet the Headhunters session, the next one of which is at the end of June. So I encourage you to attend that. It's not Mick or Sharon this time, but I have two interesting guests for you. And as a potential board member or existing board member, it's always good to know some of the headhunters. Right, so this week, what have we got? First up, Horticulture Innovation Australia Limited. Closes on the 4th of July, 2669. The horticulture industry's got revenues of about 15 billion annually. They're looking on this occasion for corporate relations and finance. So that should appeal to quite a lot of people. And generally horticulture, the board is quite diverse. So that's perhaps something to think about. Perhaps a bit easier to get onto, for example, than MLA, Meet Livestock Australia. This is 26557, 19th of June that closes. And they market to Australia's cattle, sheep and goat producers. And they do research, development and marketing services. They're looking for business acumen, stakeholder engagement, agricultural and farming. So remember, you need to know something about cows or sheep. Agri-tech, environment, and that's a pretty broad range of skills, typical of that agricultural sector. So that's MLA. Next up, 26650, the Rice Marketing Board of New South Wales. Now, this is not technically an R&D corporation, but it appears on our jobs board. So let's have a go. Closes on the 19th of June. This is the statutory board committed to obtaining the best return to rice growers, and it operates under the New South Wales Rice Marketing Act 1983. They're looking for agriculture, accounting, audit, governance and law. So a pretty broad range of governance skills. Interestingly, they don't seem to be looking for people who are expert marketers. So perhaps they've got those on their board already. And finally, in this section, the previously mentioned Sugar Research Australia closes on the 24th of June. They've got two vacancies. This is 26706. This is Australia's leading sugar industry research organisation, which suggests perhaps there might be others. I don't know of them, but I'll leave you to have a poke around on the internet. They've got two vacancies, so have a read of the posting to see what the split is. But overall, they're looking for accounting, governance, commercialisation, technology transfer, technology trends, and research and development. So it's unlikely that a given director will have all of those. So as I said, that's a very interesting board. Given I'm the chair of a company in far north Queensland, I will be driving past sugarcane farms this afternoon when I go up to Mission Beach from Cairns. Okay, so that's our R&D corps. Now I've got some sort of disparate items here, but all interesting. First up is the Australian Dental Council. There are hordes of these councils that belong to professional bodies, so keep a lookout for them. They typically have independent directors on their board because a whole board of dentists perhaps isn't ideal for governance and independence and different views. On this occasion, they've got 2 vacancies. One is for someone who is of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander descent. And the second one is someone who can chair the Finance Audit and Risk Monitoring Committee. So 2 opportunities for you there. Next up, Aurora Energy Proprietary Limited. This is a Tasmanian government-owned energy retailer, 26637. I mention this because often Tasmanian boards will appoint people from non-Tasmanian residents, but you do need to have some affinity with Tasmania. They're a energy retailing and accounting type enterprise, and you need a solid understanding of the environment in which the organisation operates. That's actually a key word for we'd prefer a Tasmanian, but give it a go if you think you've got the skills. Then I've got some what I call really interesting boards. 26708 is the Winson Group in Queensland. Closes on the 24th of June. This is a successful family business, and it's one of Australia's leading manufacturers and distributors of, wait for it, packaging materials and also labels and coding solutions. So somebody like me who runs a chocolate company, or at least I chair it, that's a thing that we are really quite interested in, believe it or not. Now, on this occasion, they're looking for strategic information technology skills, which they've described as e-commerce, governance, digital transformation, information technology and systems, and advanced manufacturing and materials. And they say they would prefer somebody from Southeast Queensland or Brisbane. And it just seemed to me when I had a chat to the consultant that this is a bit of an oxymoron, because IT people, of which I used to be one, are inherently mobile. So I draw your attention to Winson Group. Next up, an old favourite, this has appeared on our jobs board before, 26725, Geoscape National. Closes on the 1st of July. And they say they deliver intelligence to the modern data economy. And it's a digital or data-centric enterprise. Have a look at them on the website. They really are quite interesting. It's a joint venture between state and federal governments and possibly some other people. And they're looking for nothing terribly exciting, actually, accounting, audit, business operations, and distribution. Well, I'm an accountant. I might think that's exciting, but you may not. So they don't actually want somebody who's an expert in delivering intelligence to the modern data economy just at the moment in the technical sense. But have a look at that. They're really keen to get some female applicants, so see what you can do in that regard. So to conclude, it's a busy time for board recruitment at the moment. Lots of AGMs coming up, and we're past the election and business is charging away. So don't miss out. Have a look at the jobs board and see what you can find. And of course, I'll just mention again, the next Meet the Headhunters is on the 29th of June. That's usually quite an interesting session. It's an opportunity basically following the session for you to interact with the headhunter if you think they're operating in your area of interest and to get to know them. So thank you very much indeed for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this session.